Well, hello again. So, we were working on, ooh, that's big, implementing this after doing some polishing. And I had to go through and figure out, okay, when you drag this to here, what happens to everything else? And when you drag this to here, what happens to everything else? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's one of those things where it's just a lot of thinking through, and about halfway to 2/3, I went, I finally get it. But it took that long, but I went ahead and finished it anyway. So I'll show you that, and then I'll show you how the implementation is coming so far. Plus, make bigger. All right, so the blue is what you drag in, and the yellow is where everything else goes. So when parent goes to a person, person goes to child, and then the children fade out and they go out of frame. The non-sibling spouses go out. If you have a sibling spouse, like this person is married to this person, but this person is also this person's spouse, this person goes over here. When you have another parent that's not a spouse, fades out. So you come over, and this parent that's not a spouse of this, these two people are not necessarily married. Goodness, yeah, which can happen because they were never married, or they're never considered spouses. You just have a mom and a dad that are unrelated. Yeah, so this person has a spouse. When this comes down, the spouse comes down here. When the parent goes to the person, the other spouses fade in from this angle. This person's parents come in, the children fade in, things like that. Whoa. So I'm actually going to do both kind of at once, just so you can see. But you're going in, you swap here. You know, when you come in, sometimes you'll have children, additional children that will pop in, and the order of the elements is always deterministic. So there will always be a specific given order to the children, spouses, and parents. Right now it's hard-coded based on ID, but eventually we'll change that so it's based on birth date or name or something like that. So when you're looking at the same set of stuff, it'll always be the same. And if you insert something, it'll insert in the right spot. So spouses fade out, children fade in. Just a whole bunch of here's everything that happens. Here's where they go. Here's the direction when they fade in, when they fade out. You know, missing when you come up here, this person, missing spouses come in, other parents. You know, when you swap, the parents go away. When you come back, the parents fade in. So there's also this flow that happens, especially when you're going to do dragging. I want to enable this so you can drag, so you can put your finger here and then drag this towards the center. And as you're dragging, everything's moving. And it feels like everything's moving in the direction of your drag. So if you go from top to bottom to top, everything kind of goes up in this funnel. Where if from your aspect, you're going from left to right, everything comes in from the left. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Woof. That's kind of tricky to do. From the left to the right, going across. So I kind of figured all that out. You'll notice I just have a gazillion of them. But let me think through everything, so I was able to go implement it. And then I did. I went to implement it. Refresh. Okay, so you do your regular login. And then this right here, I just barely finished getting all the transitions done. Not draggable, but clickable. So if I click on Mrs. Freemer, she comes in, comes back out, you know, there. You swap these, comes back out. You can switch Tiny up there, bring Kathy in, switch John, and then Sally, when she comes in, there's no issues right there. So you can swap all of these things out. Oops. And it's a very, very fluid experience. I got to work on the timings to make it feel fast and feel fluid. Right now, it feels pretty good. It's not fast enough that you're like, whoa, what? Everything's just went. Pew. But it's quick enough that you're going, okay, John Smith, Mrs. Freemer. It's about the amount of time that you need for a decent reader to determine what he's going to do. Let's go all the way back down. So you're like, okay, I want John Smith, and then I want Bob Freemer. So right now, all of these are hard-coded. Oh, that's a fun one. Let's see. Bob, when you go Bob, and you do John, you'll notice that these actually cross right in here. Which is kind of fun. It's like, shoo, because order is always deterministic. 5 comes before 7. And I have them all with different numbers because I have console outputs that were telling me this is where the calculations go for this one and whatnot. So actually, may as well pull open a little bit of code, show you real quick. I'm run short on time. But yeah, nav layout. So essentially, I calculate a transition from a person to a person. Person looks like this. They have an ID, a name, an array of children, spouses, and parents. I'll just show you. They look like this. There'll be other things like repo. I'll need the repo identifier in there too. But I just kind of stuck something together. And this is it. You just have an array of persons, which is beautiful. And then you just go through and you just say, okay, if we're going from here and we have a first thing we do is we calculate the layout of what it is and what it's going to. And then we do some diffing and we say, okay, if you go from to this layout, you say, okay, what you return is for this person, here's where he goes from, here's where he goes to, and the action to take, whether you fade him in, fade him out, or just move him. So in this case, if we have someone coming from parents and they remain somewhere, then we just move them to that point. Otherwise, we will move them and fade them out. Right now, I don't have these calculating. I essentially have to go through and figure out where everything is and how it's moving. I did make it easy on myself, though. Whoops. What I do is in my calculations, this center is 0, 0, and then it's just a regular Cartesian coordinate plane, which would make it nice because everything based off of 0, 0 means that the position I can just keep as an XY in relation to the center, and I can use that to determine distances, using geometry, sine, cosine, tangents, and other things like that. It makes it a lot easier when calculating. And then when I actually spit it out on the page, I have an offset that I add to the X and subtract from the Y or invert so that everything ends up in the right spot. So it's working. It's fun to play with. You go whoop. It's gonna be fast. It's gonna be really nice. And what you can do is when you bring these in, you can keep track of what elements you just created, or any person you bring into the center, you make a call getting well, I'm not going to explain it, but essentially what you can do is you can keep one step ahead so that you can offer an almost seamless experience as you do a full traversal and you cross repos. You just bounce, 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 bounce. So it's going to be good. It's going to be really nice. So, but that's it. I've babbled on for long enough. More polishes for tomorrow. Friday. I'm not going to have as much time as I would like, but that's okay. Just moving ahead, having fun. So take care.